fancy people in the 19th and early 20th century were super, super into Egypt. Did you know that?
Not really. I knew that, like, I mean, it all makes sense because of, like, when you look at everything that Egypt has going on, like, and I don't, it looks all gaudy and gold and, like, very, like, funeral homey.
Well, it's also like that just back then. People,
it's fancy.
We're talking about
expensive.
fancy people. So it's like white people.
Yes.
And back then, they had a fascination with anything colonially.
Right. Anything
like,
they could take.
You know, the savages.
Oh, yeah.
Any savages anywhere hit for them.
Oh, they loved it.
But in particular.
As entertainment.
But yes.
Not
totally,
as like equals.
No, no. Totally exploitative, all that. And it was the same way with Egypt. So what had happened was Napoleon, very fancy little motherfucker, when he was trotting around whooping everybody's ass and stuff, he went to Egypt and brought back all this Egypt shit, right? And he was a real trendsetter, Napoleon, and that kind of kicked off Egyptomania, which lasted for a long time.
Is he the reason for the sandwich?
What?
Isn't there a Napoleon sandwich?
I'm into it if there is. What's the Napoleon sandwich?
I don't know. While we're talking, Russ,
there's ice cream.
That's Neapolitan.
I know, but is that...
While we're talking, Russ, look up if there's a Napoleon sandwich. For some reason, I just started... You know what it is? Like, you can almost say any word.
And you'll be like, there's a sandwich. That's a sandwich.
This Toll House make it.
And if it ain't, yeah, right.
If it ain't, by God, it's about to be.
Yeah, I'm going to make the sandwich right now.
Anyways, go on. I'm sorry.
So... fancy people got all fascinated. And then also in the early 20th century when King Tut's tomb got opened, it just kept it going. This went on for a long time. Napoleon sandwiches.
Savory or sweet
so you can
Napoleon sandwiches.
You can do anything you want with
ingredients, frozen puff pastry, and egg beaten.
I'm listening. Wait, that's it?
Hold on. How is that? Is that just to make the bread?
It's just puff pastry and egg? That's not a sandwich.
That's just bread.
Oh,
okay.
You can fill it with whatever you
different spreads.
Different.
Okay.
All right.
Cottage cheese.
Cottage
well,
cheese
it doesn't
sandwich.
seem like. I mean, don't get me wrong. I would absolutely eat almost any sandwich you put in front of me, but like.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. You know
That's
how
all right.
I am.
Yeah. Sandwiches. Yeah.
I just fucking. Yeah. Exactly.
So everybody got super fascinated with all things Egypt, including and especially mummies. They started doing all this. Became all the rage in like upper class society, not just in England, but in America too. Just rich white people everywhere were doing anything they could with fucking mummies. They would have mummy unwrapping parties, which like I've seen a mummy in a museum before, and it don't look like you could unwrap it to me.
No,
like it always looked like after thousands of years, it just all became the same stuff.
Yeah, not
like it's not like the mummy from like the old Universal movies were just wrapped in toilet paper or whatever, at least in my recollection.
No, dude, because like, I mean, not for nothing, like I've passed out drunk in a hotel room and had a Grubhub receipt stick to my ass while naked in the bed, and like it didn't just come right off, and that was just me sleeping.
So imagine thousands of years later.
Of that with like, I assume chemicals and stuff poured on them and shit like that, but like, also, is this an exclusive? Like, nobody else does, because when you think of mummies, you only think of Egypt. Like, that was just them. That's a them thing.
Oh, that's a good question.
Well,
did any other culture ever mummify people? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Some of these rich people started mummifying people.
Because of that.
Because they were so into. Some rich people started, they appropriated mummification. Right. They started having themselves mummified and put in tombs and shit because that hit for the pharaohs or whatever.
The rich people would be like, this is what's going to happen to me when I die.
Yeah,
that's always fascinating.
It's also like, and if you could get some slaves to throw in there too,
awesome.
That would be great. Yeah. I'm not, you don't have to,
but
if you could find some slaves and some camels to kill and mummified, throw them in there, maybe a few cats, I would be into that.
It's only my dying wish.
While most individual mummies exclusively belong to one category or the other, there are examples of both types being connected to a single culture, such as those from ancient Egypt and also the Andean cultures of South America. But South America didn't hit for them back then. It was all about Egypt. They didn't just unwrap them. They did all kinds of shit with them, dude. They were grinding mummies up and putting the mummy dust into like lipsticks and shit. Yes, they would take it for like sexual potency or whatever, just snorting mummies or whatever and putting it into lipsticks. It's like, oh, girl, is that mummy brown? Mummy brown is in this season.
That's my niece's favorite crayon.
But everybody loves mummy brown, and that's not even a joke. I'm adding the word but Mummy Brown
Yeah.
was one of the most popular and sought after paint pigments ever. They still make Mummy Brown, but it isn't made out of actual ground up mummies anymore. Now it's like synthesized. But like that started with Mummy Brown, which is in all kinds of famous Victorian era paintings and stuff. You look at like our painting here, which is not authentic Victorian era because our two dumb are in it. But like you see this down here, wherever roughly,
that would be Mummy
like back
Brown.
in that day, that would have been like Mummy Brown or this dog. This dog is Mummy Brown, and it's Mummy Brown dog, and it was just ground up mummies mixed with like oil or whatever into a pigment. And dude, everybody they started running out of mummy. It was such a hot trade that people started like digging up regular dead people and trying to turn them into mummies in the short term. They tried to fake mummies. They started using the animals and from over there. They'd use mummified cats because cats hit for them real hard.
Hold on though. When you say mummified cats, like okay,
they mummified the cats too. It wasn't just the slaves.
Oh, okay, all right, okay.
When a pharaoh or somebody that hits died, they didn't just get mummified. They also had to have everything that hit for them also had to be murdered and then mummified so that they would have those things in the afterlife. So their horses or camels or whatever and their slaves and their cats would be killed and mummified and put in there with them so they would be able to hit with those things when they're hanging out with Amun-Ra and whoever else.
Okay, I guess that here's where my confusion is. You keep saying mummify them. And so I thought the whole time it was like you wrap there's a whole process and to this.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Like,
otherwise,
I just
otherwise every dead person from forever would be a mummy. We ain't all just mummies.
Okay, well, because
You thought we was all just mummies?
I was almost about to say the phrase like, "How long before my grandma's a mummy?" like,
oh, you thought it was just really old, like dead people that were dead for a certain amount of time became mummies?
And like we normally just keep our underground, but they would let theirs breathe.
Yeah,
you know
you take a dead person, put it in a pyramid.
Yeah,
boom, mummy. Add 1,000 years, you got a mummy.
I was about to say, like, I found some like really old cats that had been dead for a while, like in a bag, like in my yard. And like I would say, like, yeah, I mean, that's what I would consider a mummified cat, but like also nothing to write home about, and certainly nothing that I would also
framed a party around.
Yeah, framed a party around and been like, let's grind that motherfucker up and paint by colors with it.
No, so listen, I'm not a mummy doctor, but like they did this whole thing. They would remove all their organs, put the organs in jars and stuff, and it wasn't
that's good.
It wasn't just it was like an early version of embalming, I think. It wasn't just like Egyptian toilet paper they were wrapping them up in. They had certain chemicals, which I didn't know were whatever, potions,
Because along the line of those potions, like earlier you said that they would like grind up mummy stuff and like snort it or like put it in tonics for like sexual potency. Do you think there's any at all even pseudoscience to that? Or if they just went, or if they were just like, I mean, someone had to pick up a mushroom for the first time and eat it and see if it was good. So like, why not? We'll just see.
I think it was one of those things where it was just all the craze. It was just hitting for everybody. And some people were like I'm going to put it in my butt. Some of them absolutely put mummies in their butt.
Yeah, but I mean, like, we've got like the hydroxychloroquine.
I know. No, I was about to say, well, also there's like.
We stay doing that
still to this day. There's all kinds of like, there's a whole like poaching industry in the world that were like endangered animals and stuff. No.
No. Like, God damn it.
Where endangered animals are sought after because people think that like a tiger's dick, if you eat tiger dick soup, now you've got a tiger dick, which apparently would hit for people or whatever. Like that still goes on today. So like, but there was no actual science to it. It was just people thinking, oh, these mummies hit. They were all mystical and all that sand magic.
That's just so funny.
What?
Just sand magic is one of those, and I would like to keep a recurring list because I have no doubt that this is going to happen multiple times because it always happens with us. Sand magic is one of them words that like it's not or phrases that's not at all racist, but it definitely sounds racist. Like with your accent, just saying sand magic. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, yeah. If I was in like a room full of Middle Eastern kids doing Rubik's cubes or something. Quit always got sand magic. That would
See?
yes,
and we found it.
That would be right. Yeah, found it real quick.
Yeah, right.
That would be racist, but that's not what we're doing. What other kind of magic does a mummy have?
Sand.
It's sand magic.
No, I know.
Even in the mummy movies, it's literally sand. He makes a hole. He makes his face into sand. And swallows airplanes with it and shit. That's sand magic. Yeah, the whole like again, just to like, dude, the way Britain, not just Britain, but just all of the white world.
Yeah.
And not that not that we still ain't that way, but just how overtly just
dominating
and exploitative and shit. Where they would just go places, they just dig up their kings and rub them on their dicks and shit.
No, I know.
And like it was nothing.
No, I know.
And just like paraded in front of everybody, and no one had any problem. I mean, I'm sure the Egyptians had problems with it, but like,
of course. But what are they gonna do?
Right? Yeah, exactly. But it was just so bold.